Hey y'all, this morning I'm going to take you on out. I'm going to show you what's going on in my greenhouse. What's happening with the Carolina Reaper seeds that I got from Rick. Getting them planted in the ground. Well, actually not planted in the ground yet today. That'll be another video, but transplanting them in some other containers. Get some tomato plants in the ground. Just what's happening in the greenhouse. Just a short video. Well, no, I guess it's not so short. Anyway, if you like this type of videos, folks, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, maybe even share it, leave a comment. Love to hear from y'all. So let's get on with it. Sorry about my hair. It ain't beautified today. But we're just going in through the garden here. And I started working on out here. And, well, got warm, so I had to take my hat off. But then I decided, well, you know what? Maybe I ought to bring you out for the ride. So here, let me show you what I got going today. Oh boy, folks, it's a warm one in this greenhouse. Last night it was 35 degrees outside, but it's a lot warmer than that in here now. Anyway, here I already got 2, 4, 6, 7 of these already planted. These are the Carolina Reaper plants, and that's where they're at right now. And here, let me just kind of bring you along, show you what I'm doing here. Now, first of all, I got this potting soil, and I do want to mention to any of the smokers there that are thinking about doing any gardening, doing any greenhouse growing. One thing I think it's worthy of mentioning, and we don't hear it much on YouTube. I think somebody needs to say it. If you're a smoker, I put about that much dirt in there. Kind of work that on in there. If you're a smoker and you got a greenhouse, don't smoke in your greenhouse. Just step outside if you need a cigarette. They say it's even best if you wash your hands, especially with tomatoes, before you start handling them. There's something about the nicotine or something, I don't know what it is, but I don't wash my hands. But I do, I don't smoke in here. I thought that was worthy. It does something about inviting other bacteria or bugs. I don't know what it is, but you don't want to smoke in a greenhouse. Anyway, oh, you know what? One thing I didn't do with this here. I don't believe. Nope, I didn't. And I'm just taking a knife. I'll show you on the next one a better deal. And I got to punch some holes in the bottom. That's for the water to be able to seep on in through. Then I take another cup. And on this here, I'm using Root Bro. I put a couple of tablespoons of this fertilized home root stimulator. This is the only time that I use anything. And that's because this is my first time growing from seeds to transplanting and all this stuff, unless I planted the seeds directly in the garden. But this is a fertile loam root stimulator, so it helps the roots to get a better base started in here. It's the only time I use this stuff, anything that's man-made from the store, other than the potting soil. And then I put a couple tablespoons of that stuff in a gallon of water. Now what I'm doing here is I put roughly about that much water in this cup. Then I take a plant, drop it on in there. I don't force it in there. You can just watch it. It will slowly soak the water on up, and it will drop all the way down to like this here. Now you can see the water level in this cup here. I think there's a dark line. That's basically where the water level is, and then that water will wick up through the soil. So that's what we've got going. So anyway, we'll do one proper way start to finish. Take your cup, punch a couple holes in there for the water to wick in with. It doesn't matter what size. You're not worried about if a little dirt seeps on out or whatever. Just a couple of slices or whatever, just enough. Just to make sure that the water can get through those holes. That's all you got to really worry about. Scoop up some dirt. Make a little bit of hole. Make a hole for the plant. This is the These are toilet paper. I started out and folded the bottoms in on these ones here. I didn't fold the bottom in. It's just dirt right at the bottom. It's kind of caked on in there. I'll stuff it down in that hole down in there. Get it seated in there pretty good. Going this way here, the way that I'm doing it, I'm not removing the seeds from something where I'm messing with the roots. The roots aren't even being touched at all. So there should be no or very little shock doing it this way here. Now when I go to actually plant these in the ground, obviously these cups, I can't, and I don't have any right here. I'll have to show you another time. I'm working on creating cardboard things to transplant into instead of these plastic cups. And the reason being on that is then I can, instead of transplanting something like this here, dumping the tomato plant out in your hand and then having a hole and then drop it in there, that's going to give it some root shock because there's roots all the way around the outside perimeter and they get disturbed a little bit. So that gets a little bit of shock. So if you could put your plant at this stage of the game, instead of in this plastic container, put it in a cardboard container, something that will dissolve, and then plant that in the ground, then that's where I'm leaning. You know, just make a whole bunch of cardboard, you know, holders. Maybe use masking tape or something to hold them together. But anyway, put some water on in here. And then I'll get back to you when I start transplanting some of these plants. I'm not going to transplant these Carolina Reapers today. I'm going to let them, now that I'm doing this here, I'm going to let them set a day or two, and then I'll put some of them in the ground. I am going to be planting some of my larger tomato plants. Just a few of these in the ground in here, and I'm going to plant some outside just to see what the growth difference is in the next few weeks, so I know what to expect for next year. So anyway, we'll be back. Okay, I got one more of these Carolina Reapers to do, and I just wanted to show you something. This last one might be kind of hopeless for me to transplant, but there still is a little bit of greenery on it. Yeah, I'll show you here in a second. Let me get the dirt in here. Okay, see, there's a little bit of greenery. It's still a little bit green, but it's laid on over. Can you see that? You know, get it up closer there for you. And it's been that way for about a week, laid on over. That's one that I kind of pulled up. That was a double or a triple or something. I transplanted it, and it's not doing too good. And another part, it's not just because it was transplanted. It's also because I have to confess, I let them get dry a couple of times now. The other day before yesterday, they got dry, and I had to add them some water. They perked up a little bit, but yeah, that was my error. I gotta try to, without bruising the plant, I want to try to get this to stand up and see if I can get it to recover. If not, it's not a huge loss. I still have a number of them. I just hope I don't lose too many more. I gotta keep a little better watch on the watering of these things. But in my defense on it, in these trays that I have the tomatoes in, I don't know. Let's see here. Right here, I'll show you in a second. These trays right here, there's not the water doesn't show as much. So it takes longer for this water to evaporate on out when they're this way. But in this tray here that I was keeping those in with the toilet paper rolls that I'm starting out with, oops, that's a little bit much. A little bit back. I was starting them in this tray here. And there's a lot more water exposed for evaporation, so you have to do more watering in this here, even though it wicks up. The other thing is, you can see I have 3 of them still in here. This one had a plant on there. It died. It completely dried up. It's not got it. Didn't make it. These 2 here, they didn't make it. And there was about 2 others that I've lost. So I've lost, well, 5 so far. And I might lose that last one too. But hey, I still got this many here. Let's show you what we got here. And there they are right there. Hopefully you can see that on camera. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of them still is what I had left. And I had 17 and 2 died, didn't make it right off. And then I had 15 and now I'm down to the 12. So anyway, that's where we're at now. Hopefully that's showing on up. And these here are all the habanero peppers. And I could weed and thin them, but what's my point? What harm is it going to be for there to be 2 and 3 plants in there? I mean, next year I'll only plant maybe 2 in each hill. But if there's an extra one, so what? Now I did transplant some of these, you know, just experimenting around to see how they would do, and the transplant did fine. But that was an earlier stage of the game. So anyway, what I'm fixing to do right now is step outside of this tent or greenhouse, because I am sweating like a stuck pig. I'm going to smoke a cigarette and chill off for a bit. Then I'm going to come on in and I'm going to start planting some of these. I'm going to plant some of a couple of the habaneros, some of the what are these things called? Yeah, tomatoes. And then I got some other plants I got to bring on out here, and I'll show you some of those too. If y'all can see in here really what's going on. I know these are supposed to be spaced further apart than what I'm going to put them. I have a ton of these plants. Okay, I'm going to end up pulling some out later as they get too overgrown, because I have so many. And this ground right through here is pretty dang tough. That's because I did some cutting and leveling on out the ground. You know, when I put these on, now I got a log all the way around here, and I about 16, 18 inches higher than it was before, so this is down about 12 inches lower. So it's getting closer to that clay. And but I want to put my tomatoes and peppers along close to these logs, because that actually helps create the heat. It heats up the ground and stuff. I'll get the reflective heat from it, and I think it'll be good. Ooh, yeah, there's a nice worm. You know, you can tell first little tiny shovelful, and I'm already pulling out worms. Little tiny worm there. I don't know if you can see him. He's not wiggling much, but he's there. There's another one down in the hole too. So anyway, let's go ahead and start putting some of these tomato plants on in here. Now these are kind of dry, and you can see the root growth. We'll break up these clods and stuff to help fill this on in. And this will give it some shock transplanting it this way. This is why I was talking about I would really like to get to making my own cardboard boxes bigger than this, and not the wax ones either. I want something that's biodegradable that will break on down. Then I'll add some more water here in a bit to all these plants that I'm transplanting right now. Now, if I was to go to the other side of this log, it'd be nice and soft and loamy, some really nice soil. But like I said, I carved this way on down, so this ground isn't really as nutritional. I'll be adding some old chicken manure to it to make it better, to give it some more nutrients and stuff, and do different stuff that will they'll give it some natural fertilizers. I don't do much weeding in the garden. I'm not too worried about weeds. For me, I mean, if you're removing the weeds, in my opinion, It does make the garden prettier, but it's having a coverage on your ground, whether you're using sawdust chips or wood chips, which is a nitrogen robber, or weeds on the ground, and you keep them mowed down short. The weeds, yes, they do soak up some water, but they help hold the water in the ground too. Something to consider. Now, like I said, I'm planting these a lot closer together than a person should, and I know that. But like I said, I can always yank out some and still have plenty of tomato plants. I did this many tomato plants so I would be able to experiment around with different stuff and not be afraid to lose a bunch of plants. Yeah, I don't care if this is hard ground, the roots will make their way through it. They will find their way. Yeah, last year I put a lot of sawdust in. I did weed control that way out in my garden. I'm probably not going to do that except for maybe in walkways. I'm not going to do it around the plants, especially plants that I know that will grow taller than the weeds. Let's see here. Let's move this over here. And we'll get another one about here. Yep, this is hard ground right through here. But it's still very fertile ground. It doesn't have, being that I carved down the top, it doesn't have the all the no, what's that called? The green wizard knows what it is. All the leaf matter, vegetation matter in the soil, because I did carve a lot of it down. I know a lot of people talk about don't rototill. Well, when you got soil like I got, you rototill until you get the soil just right. When you don't need to, when you just take your shovel, go out in your garden, you can take a little do like this here and just easily pop a hole in the ground. Everything's nice and loose. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't rototill. But my opinion on the I don't know if it's called permaculture, back eating, whatever it is. Your plants should be moved around. You shouldn't plant year after year out in the same area. It will deplete the soil in itself. I like to rotate things around. So if I'm planting something on in the ground, it's only going to be good for 3 years, but nothing gets moved there. It's not bringing other nutrients on in. That's the way I see it anyway. So I do believe in planting year after year. But also, if you can save the plants that you plant, put them in pots, that's going to be interesting to try. So, but I'll have to have softer soil than this to dig these plants on up and transplant them into a pot for this winter. That's something to consider. I don't know what I'm going to do on that, but it is something that I would like to try. Okay, and then I'm going to give those few plants there some water. Again, this is that stuff that stimulates root growth. And this will be the last time that I'll water these plants with root stimulator. Another thing I've been thinking about doing is take my old Folgers coffee cans and the plastic cans, you know, the 1 pound cans or whatever, 2 pound, whatever they are, drill a hole and put a pipe coming down the bottom where I could stab that pipe into the ground right by the plant, and I could come out here and water, fill that up with that can up with water, and it would flow right into the ground right by the roots. Water the plants that way without getting water on the. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I'd really like to get some of your feedback, some of your opinions on it too. Because honestly, I only have opinions. I'm not no rocket scientist on this. I ain't got no doctorate degree or anything else. So give me your opinions. Leave a comment down below. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure and do that. And ring that bell. Give me a thumbs up. Let's hear from y'all. Just remember, folks, if the girls don't find you handsome like me, they can find you handy like me. And if they don't find you handy like me, well, just pray that they find you. Y'all come back now, yeah. Bye.